The purpose of this video is to show you how to set up a controller so it's easier and more enjoyable to play these Game Boy games on your computer. So the first thing you need to do is buy a controller. Now you can buy whichever controller you want, but I'm going to show you the controller that my son and I use when we play Pokemon together. So I open up my web browser, I'm going to go to Amazon.com, and then in the search bar at Amazon, I'm going to type in 8-bit dough, 8-bit dough, all one word, and then the word classic. This one right here is the controller that my son and I use. Again, you do not have to use this controller. You can use whichever controller you want, but the vast majority of my childhood was spent in the 90s. I played a lot of Super Nintendo and a lot of Sega Genesis, and for some reason I love the look and the feel of the old Super Nintendo controllers, and that's why I chose to get this one. And the nice thing, you notice it's got all the joysticks, it's also got all the buttons on top, so it's got the functionality of modern controllers, but that look and feel of the old school Super Nintendo controller that I really like. So if you want to follow along with us exactly in the rest of the videos, this is the controller that we're using. Next, once you've charged your controller, the next thing is to connect it to your computer via Bluetooth. So to do that, I'm going to go to my search bar at the bottom here. I'm going to type in blue, and then select Bluetooth and other device settings. From here, make sure that your Bluetooth is in fact turned on, and then click Add Device. And then from here, we're going to select this Bluetooth option because this is where we can add controllers. So I'm going to select Bluetooth. And then from here, this is really important to pay close attention to the details. Make sure that you push the Start button and the Y button in unison together to make sure the controller gets set up properly. So I'm going to press and hold Start and Y together for about 5 seconds until you see those lights start to flash like they are now. I'm going to let go. And then it says, your device. Do you want to pair your device? Allow. It says connection successful. And this is exactly what we want. Make sure it says Pro Controller here. If it said something like 8-bit dough instead, that means it wasn't set up properly. So go back and redo it, making sure that you press the Start and Y button together when turning it on. So again, now that I've got my Pro Controller set and ready to go, I'm ready to move on to the next step. The next step is to map our controller. In other words, assign the proper buttons to our controller. So to do that, I'm going to open up my emulator. I'm going to go to the option for Tools, and then I'm going to click Settings. And from here, we're going to scroll down to where it says Controllers, and then we want to map our controller. So to do this, we're going to hit Set All, and notice it starts here at the Up button. So here I'm going to press Up, and then I want to press Right, then I press Down, and then I press Left. And notice now they want the A button, so I'm going to push the A button. Next, they want the B button, so I'm going to push the B button. Then they want Select, so I'm going to push the Select button here. And then they want Start, so I hit the Start button. Next, we assign our L1 button, and then our R1 button. So now we have successfully mapped our controller, so now we can hit Apply. And OK. The next buttons we're going to map are for more advanced controls called shortcuts. These are completely optional, but I do highly recommend them, particularly if you want to follow along with our videos exactly later on. So to do this, we first go to Tools, then we go back to Settings, but now instead of going to Controllers, we're trying to map some shortcuts. So I'm going to click Shortcuts. The first shortcut we want to map is going to be in this File section here, so I'm going to click this drop down for File. And we want to assign these shortcuts to our controller, in other words, our gamepad. So please make sure you click this button here for gamepad. Now the first shortcut we want to map is for Save State. So I'm going to click Save State. And don't worry, I'll explain what all these things do later on. For now, let's just map the buttons. So with Save State clicked, I'm now going to click this button right here, and then I'm going to click the button on the controller. I want to assign Save State to L2. So my L2 button is going to be right here. I'm going to click L2. I'll give it just a few moments for it to register up here. I'm not going to click Apply yet, and I'm going to move on to the next shortcut I want to assign, and that is going to be Load State. So I'm going to click Load State, and then I'm going to click this area right here. I'm just going to kind of triple click it with my mouse so it's all highlighted, and I want to assign Load State to R2. So again, my R2 button's me right here. I'm going to click R2. Again, give that a few moments to register right here. Excellent. And now, again, I'm not clicking Apply yet, and I'm ready to move on to the next shortcut. So I'm done with the File section. I now want to go to Emulation, so I'll click this little drop-down menu. The next one I want to do is for pause. This is for pausing the emulation, not the actual game, but the emulation itself. And you'll see there are times where that's useful. So to map this, again, I'm going to click pause. I'm going to click this button right here, kind of triple click it so it's all highlighted. And now the pause button, I wanted to make the bottom right button on our controller, which is going to be this button right here. You can kind of see it right there. So I'm going to click that button. Again, I'll give that just a few moments to register here. Good. And I'm ready to move on to the next one. The next shortcut I want to assign is going to be for the fast forward option. So I'm going to click fast forward. Again, I'm going to click this here, kind of triple click it. And the fast forward button, I want to make the X button up here. So right here, the X button, I'm going to click that. Again, give it a moment to register right there. The next shortcut I want to assign is going to be the rewind held button. So again, I'm going to click this. I'm going to kind of triple click in here to make sure it's all highlighted. And that rewind held button, I want it to make the Y button on the controller. So I'm going to click the Y button right here. Again, give it a few moments to register right here. And I am done with the emulation section. The last shortcut is going to be based on the audio video section. So I'll click this drop down. It's going to be through the frame size section. So I'm going to click this drop down. And I want to be able to toggle full screen on my controller. So I'm going to click this toggle full screen. And then I'm going to, again, click this area right here, kind of triple click it so it's all highlighted. And that full screen button, I wanted to make this bottom button here on the left. I know it might be hard to see, but it's this bottom button right here under the D-pad. So I'm going to click that bottom button right there. Again, give it a few moments to register. It's registered there. And that's the last one I want to do. So now I'm ready to click apply and then OK. And congratulations, you are now done setting up your controller.